Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 429. Happy Thursday. We are locked out. Baseball is locked out. Good morning. Low roller scratcher. Texas card dude Brad in the house. Jenny, good morning to all. Oh, I'm sick to my stomach. He's delicious, but the Major League Baseball locked out. What a bummer. What a bummer. So I'm going to talk about that today, how it's going to impact the hobby and my thoughts on the deal's gonna will it affect the season? So we'll touch on that. Yesterday I listed 300 more cards into my eBay store, so over 800 listed this week. Plan on getting a couple hundred more today. A lot of shipping today. What's up, Diego? Um, so that's kind of the plan. I'm wavering back and forth whether or not I am going to go to Milwaukee to Oak Creek to the card show on Saturday. I sold. So there's a dealer that sets up at that show. He was also at the Chicago show a couple weeks ago, and I've pulled some really fire cards out of his diamond quarter boxes. I pulled some first NXT wrestling cards out of the 25-cent box. Got the bulk discount for buying a bunch. Got them for 20 cents. One of them sold for $16 last night. So those victories just fire me up. And those bargain box flips, it's like, oh, I need another one, but I've got so much inventory from picking up bulk collections over the last couple of weeks that I just need to focus on list. I don't need to add any more inventory. I'm still listing some of the bargain box, some of the bulk collections that I've picked up. So I'm gonna likely skip out on the show this weekend. And then next week is a week from Saturday is the Rockford Card Show. I will not be set up there because I will be at Club 400 the night before, which actually is a little closer than Madison to Rockford. However, I'm gonna wake up first thing in the morning and do a card show all day. Be a little tired, probably imbibe in some adult beverages. So going to skip setting up at the Rockford show next weekend. So my next card show probably won't be until the January Rockford show. Unless there's an Oak Creek show the first weekend in January, I may hit that up. But otherwise, the second week in January for the Rockford show. So that's kind of on the docket. The Christmas party at Club 400 special guest will be Patrick Wisdom. So I'm excited to meet Patrick Wisdom. I don't have any Patrick Wisdom autographs, so I always enjoy when there's a player at Club 400 that I don't have any signed stuff from. So I'll get a baseball signed from Wisdom to add to my my autographed Cubs baseball collection. Looking forward to that. And then in January, the Cubs convention was canceled again. Not happy about that. So with the Cubs convention being canceled, Club 400 is doing their own Cubs convention. Obviously, it'll be a little smaller than what the normal Cubs convention would be. But Frank Schwindel will be the special guest with Ron Coomer. Coom Dog is going to be at Club 400 in January. So I'm super excited for that event. So going to be a lot of fun. So that's what's going on. With my eBay store yesterday, it was a lot of baseball. So today is kind of I think today is gonna be with what I list. It'll be an afternoon. I'm gonna focus on shipping this morning. I may make a run. Today's Thursday. Some of the local stores have been stocked on Thursdays, so I may make a run. I got the itch last night. I had AEW on, was watching some wrestling, was listing some cards. After dinner, we're on the couch. My wife and I were watching TV, and all of a sudden, she puts on what did she put on? She put something on. Oh, Gossip Girl, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch Gossip Girl," and I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna go downstairs and watch wrestling." So I spent the evening downstairs watching wrestling and listing some more cards just from my phone on the couch. Um, so yeah. So Diego, what's up? Jenny says I'm just going to list on eBay while we chat. eBay sales yesterday were the highest day in sales since I started up a month ago. That is awesome. Love to hear that. I think like I am just so laser focused on my eBay that I'm jaded by like my actual sales where it's like, how come I'm not making more sales? And then I look at the numbers, it's like, oh, okay, I've had a decent day. But I always want it to be higher and higher. So the sales are the sales in, and I guess why I'm discouraged is because the sales aren't, while I'm doing decent based on like 3,000 and 4,000 listings. Now I'm like right at 7,500, and but the sales are still based the sales are still similar to where I was at with 4,000 listings. So that's a little discouraging, but it's also November and December, which are the slowest trading card sale months of the year. So once mid-January hits, I think I'll be, I'll be set because now I can utilize the time not shipping, so many items, that I can really focus. And then once, hopefully the floodgates open in January, and then I can really focus on sales. Jenny says, Bo, just expect no sales, then you will be happy with what you make. I can't think like that though, because this is how I make a living. I know it's hard because it's your job. Yeah, I can't have that thought process. That's not like that because uh, one of my professors in college said, what was the saying? Like, and it wasn't like he didn't make it up. It's just a famous business saying. Breaking even leaves you hungry, or breaking even is you starve. I can't remember. I screwed it up. But morning meetings for Diego. So the lockout is upon us. There was a flurry of activity with free agent signings this week leading up to. It was exciting because the last couple years with the free agent market, it's really lingered into like spring training, and some of the top free agents weren't even signed when pitchers and catchers were reporting. And I don't like that. Like I want a buzz of activity like right now. Like this is the time the winter meetings would take place. And I like that flurry of activity, that 3 days, watching MLB Network. Um, Maybe I'm still nostalgic over 2015, 2016, with the Cubs and their flurry of activity prior to the World Series season. I just, plus it gives me, um, it's that, you're 6 weeks away, you're 6 weeks past the World Series in the postseason, and you're still 2 months away from the start of spring training. So I always liked that early December. It's that little 3 day window of activity in Major League Baseball, and then your focus kind of goes to Christmas and the holiday season, all that stuff. And then in January, the second week of January is the Cubs convention, in a normal year. And so that's another weekend of buzz. And yes, I'm excited. We're only a month away from pitchers and catchers, and then the pitchers and catchers report. And then I just started going to spring training last year, or yeah, last 2020, right before COVID hit. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't booked anything because I don't know if there's going to be a spring training. So I'm holding off on booking things. The national tickets, it's so early. I'm just gonna hold off until a few more months, and I'll book that trip. I'm like, I don't like to plan too far advance, but I like to plan out. This is a little too early for a July trip for me to book out. I like to kind of watch the market and see what's going on, and try to get that best deal for flights and hotels. So, but my spring training trip, not even considering it until we know if there's going to be a spring training, which is a bummer. What's up, Zach? Good morning. Drive safe. Jenny says, I love that Bo's show and the hobby family has become so great. People are always listening in the car on the way to work. It is. It's so cool. I love it. It is so awesome. 7 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday, Hobby Evolution. So the lockout is upon us, and I love that flurry of activity. Get my ticket for the show. So I love that flurry of activity around the winter meetings, and we had that kind of this week because teams wanted to get those deals done before the lockout deadline. And I think my assumption was wrong. I was optimistic. I'm still optimistic a deal is going to get done, and it won't affect spring training in the regular season. I don't think it. I think we're going to be locked out for probably all of December, but I think by after the new year, things will get resolved and we'll start on time. That's just me being an optimist. But I was wrong on teams making those signings ahead of the agreement being reached. I thought that was a good sign that, okay, because I thought going into during the playoffs, I thought that teams wouldn't do anything until after there was an agreement. So my thought process was, okay, if there's activity, that means they're moving forward and they're going to come to an agreement. And we all live happily ever after for the next 5 years or whatever, however long the CBA is. But that's not the case. So these teams wanted to get the deals done before the lockout deadline, which the old agreement expired at midnight. Let's see. The MLB acting the Grinch who stole the hobby Christmas, first dumping tops, now a lockout, right? So Jenny, the lockout is basically so the owners and the players association have a contract, essentially a contract, and it's whether there's a salary cap, whether or not there's a designated hitter, a DH is part of talks. Some of the other high talking points. So there's the Chris Bryant kind of made it. It's happened to several players, but Chris Bryant is kind of the poster boy for the what do you call it? Player time, arbitration time manipulation, where in 2000, what was it, 14, the Cubs held back Chris Bryant. He was ready. He should have made as a player. Now, from a game and a player standpoint, Chris Bryant should have been called up out of spring training, and he should have been on the 25-man roster to start the 2014 season. However, the players and the owners collectively bargained on that agreement, which just expired, that there can be manipulation, that teams can manipulate when they call players up. So, well, Chris Bryant's ready to play, but if we hold back and wait until April 20th to bring him up, we gain an extra year of control. So instead of becoming a free agent in 2020, we now get that extra year of control into 2021, and that saves organizations, that saves the franchises money. So from a business standpoint, it's genius. And it's only 2 weeks. And yeah, I know people were up in arms. Oh, he should be up on the team. But hey, you also have to think into the future. Yes, it is about playing for now, but you can't just play for now running an organization. You have to plan for the future. You can't put all your eggs in the now basket and leave yourself wide open to failure in 5 years, 6 years, whatever it may be. So that's one of the major points in this CBA is the manipulation of service time. Service time manipulation. That's what it is. Service time manipulation. What else was there? I think Major League Baseball wants to propose a draft lottery like we have in like the NBA. So that would prevent teams from sucking to get higher draft picks at the end of the season, just kind of throwing in the towel. So those are some of the things that they're discussing. So what a lockout means is the contract expired. So the contract was, say it was the collective bargaining agreement is what I'm referring to when I say contract. The collective bargaining agreement, CBA, expired at midnight. So the contract's null and void. It's passed, it's over. Now there's no contract, so they work. So they are locked out from working. So teams cannot make any signings, free agent signings. They can't make any trades. Basically, business stops. And I did read that teams that don't currently have a manager, they can still hire a manager, which I didn't know that. But I guess that is the case. I think John Heyman on Twitter reported that. So those are some of the things. That's what a lockout means. Basically, there's a work stoppage. It's kind of like a strike is kind of a bad. I don't like using the word strike, but essentially, it's like in a business, it's a strike. DR says, okay, we are mentioned that. The Chris Bryant situation is now with every minor league player. See Wander Franco. Yeah, and actually, it predates Chris Bryant. Jason Hayward was manipulated. His service time was manipulated with the Atlanta Braves. It's happened. It's just Chris Bryant. Scott Boras made a big deal, and then Chris Bryant made some comments too over the course of his years with the Chicago Cubs, that he kind of became the poster boy for service time manipulation. But it happened to countless players. I mean, it happened before Chris Bryant. It happened after Chris Bryant. But Scott Boras made a big deal of it. Whether rightfully so or not, that's up. I mean, it's not like it seems like it's a bad thing, the service time manipulation, but the players in the last CBA, like, or whenever, like, it was collectively bargained. It was an agreement by both sides. So it wasn't like these billionaire owners are trying to fleece the players. The players agreed to it in the last agreement. So, that's why he didn't come up in April. I remember when Bryant got called up, I was sorting 90 tops watching MLB Central, all excited he was finally coming up. Yeah, it was 2 weeks. It was like, I think like 14 days or 12 days. I think April 16th was like the date because we as Cubs fans had that date circled on the calendar. Brad does not want a lottery. I have mixed emotions on the lottery. It doesn't really bother me one way or another. I think maybe as a fan, it kind of spurs some excitement because you don't want your team. I mean, I say that, and I've wanted a team to suck for a better draft pick. So, when they're not going to make the playoffs, it's like, well, we might as well lose games and get a better draft pick. So, I mean, it does. And you have that lottery, and it's like, hey, so I don't know what I'm gonna try. I'm stumbling on my words here, but if you have a draft lottery and you have the worst record, and you don't get the number one draft pick, it sucks. But it also challenges teams to not suck. Because you're not guaranteed if you lose games on purpose, you're not guaranteed a high draft pick, whether it be number 1, 2, or 3. So I don't know. So let's see. Brad says players can't go into training for physical training. Yep, that's correct. It was a compromise to move forward, if I remember right. Herman would remember better. Dan says, I'd imagine they want to get rid of the manipulation. Yes, that's one of the biggest, I think, hurdles in this current negotiation, is that manipulation. And the MLBPA, like, I don't know why all of a sudden it became such a big deal. In like on the surface, yes, it'd be like, this is a big deal. Because like as a player, like a Chris Bryant type player, he lost millions of dollars. Now the Cubs through arbitration, still pay. I mean, it's not like he was making the league minimum in year 6, the final year of his contract. But still, if he would have hit the open market a year earlier, he would have gained, millions more. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know why that was even, I don't ever remember the manipulation prior to Chris Bryant being a big deal because there were other players that, went through that. when you're the Detroit Lions, you might as well give up hope for a better pick. No doubt about that. Brad says, I'm a Texas Rangers, Cubs, Mets fan. I am used to teams sucking. Dan, doesn't matter if the Bears lose game because there is no first round draft pick. And I went back and looked. Me and a couple friends who were all Bears fans texting during the Bears game last week on Thanksgiving Day. And it's like here's the first round picks in the Adam in the Adam not Adam in the Ryan Pace era. And it all started with Kevin White. Oh, what a terrible first round pick. What's up, Herman? Top of the morning. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on the lockout. I'm still gonna say I'm an optimist, and I still think an agreement's gonna get settled. I think Major League Baseball is gonna be locked out the entire month of December. I don't expect an agreement this month. And I think it might linger halfway into January. It might not be until the second week of January, but I think there will be a resolution. They'll come to an agreement. But I think this lockout's going to last 6 weeks. Hopefully not 8 weeks, but maybe even 8 weeks. Pitchers and catchers start reporting mid-February. So I'm hopeful and optimistic that the sides do come to an agreement by pitchers and catchers reporting. We'll have spring training as scheduled, and we'll start the regular season on time. So that's my hope, and that's kind of my line of thinking. I think that's where we're going to be. So I'm hopeful. What do you think the lockout does to card sales? And thank you, because that's right where I was going. So how does it affect the hobby? If things go as I think, and I'm laying out here where it's a 6-week lockdown, I don't think there's going to be any effect. If there is an effect, I think it's going to be minor on baseball cards and in the hobby. That's my thought, is if it only lasts 6 weeks and they come to an agreement by mid-January, this is the hobby dead time anyway for baseball. So things start picking back up by mid-January. You get your flagship released by the end of the month into February. So I'm hopeful that there's really no ill effects on the hobby if the lockout ends by mid-January, even by the end of January. I don't think we'll miss a beat. Don't jinx us. Well, hey, I don't want to be a pessimist. This is my thoughts. This is my thoughts and myself being an optimist on this. Does go into February, and it does affect spring training, and God forbid it affects the regular season starting on time. That's when we'll see it start hurting the baseball card sales, the hobby in general, baseball cards and all of that. And the longer it goes, the more impact it will have. The longer the lockout happens, the more it impacts. And we saw that with the last work stoppage in 1994. What did that do? It killed baseball for 4 years. And thanks to steroids, steroids saved baseball. Bud Selig doesn't want you to think that now in 2021, but he didn't give a rat's behind in 1998. The found money after 4 years of anyway. That's a topic for another day. But the longer it lasts, the longer a work stoppage and a lockout lasts, the more impact it's going to have, a more negative impact it's going to have on the baseball card hobby. So my thoughts on the whole thing is, in my opinion, being an optimist, we're going to see a work stoppage last into mid-January. We're going to see probably 6 weeks. No deal gets agreed upon until mid-January. And then hopefully we get things started back on track and there's minimal negative impact on the hobby. But if I'm wrong, I've been wrong a lot. If I'm wrong and the lockout lasts into February and the longer it lasts, the more negative impact it's going to have on baseball cards. Brad says, I think everyone forgot that the players sued the owners earlier this year for the lack of, yeah, it was ugly. The owners and players, it was COVID really. Baseball, Major League Baseball, in my opinion, is the worst run of the four major sports organizations. And it's not good. And hopefully this is not, hopefully there can be an agreement, but like Brad said, like there's that was ugly. It was ugly last year. So hopefully that doesn't affect what's going on now. And that's what Brad says. I'm wondering how that affects the process. Dan says, I'm really hoping to win 2 rare cards in about 20 minutes, one for my PC. Good luck. I didn't know the players sued the owner. I think we're going to be locked out the rest of the month into January. How that affects the hobby depends on how long the lockout lasts. If we can get baseball back if we get baseball back in mid-January, end of January, I think there's no impact to minimal impact. But the longer it lasts, if it does affect the spring training or regular season, then that's when we start seeing bad things with baseball cards in terms of a negative impact on the hobby. So this big spike was just like in the early 90s, then a crash, very similar. There are some parallels. There are definitely some parallels with, the big boom, and then, all of a sudden it's 1994. This could get as ugly as a Lions game. Hopefully not that ugly. Brad is not going live. It's Thursday, so Brad will be back live tomorrow. Lions Bears game. Oh yeah, that's about as ugly as it gets with the NFL. Lions and Bears on Thanksgiving Day. That was atrocious. So that's all I had for today. I didn't have much. I just wanted to touch on that. I'm burying the lead. The Cubs made some moves finally. I was trying to I was going back and forth with some Cubs fan friends on Tuesday, and I know it's frustrating when you see other teams making moves, but only 10% of free agents at that point on Tuesday, like 10% of the free agent class had signed. And many of them, and Marcus Stroman was a pitcher. I'll find the tweet. I can highlight the tweet. My prediction was the Cubs will sign one of Stroman along with Yusei Kikuchi of the formerly of the Seattle Mariners. Now we're going to have to wait till the lockout's over, but the Cubs did sign Marcus Stroman last night. So Marcus Stroman, he was on social media, like on Twitter, like just with the fans, and like he's going to be, I think, based on like his early tweets, he's going to be one of my favorite Cubs. Well, Javi Baez is no longer. He's with the Detroit Tigers, so I need a new favorite player. Wilson Contreras was my second favorite Cubs player, but I think Marcus Stroman might be my new favorite Cubs player based on his tweets and his interactions with fans last night on Twitter. He seems like a really fun player. So I'm excited to have Marcus Stroman in a Cubs uniform. The Cubs also one of the late signings, Michael Hermosillo, who was with the team last. I think he's a local. Like I think he's from like Ottawa, Illinois. And then of course Clint Frazier a couple days ago was signed. So Cubs are making some moves, which they needed to make some moves. They really needed some starting pitching. Hopefully they'll shore up and when they can start working on free agents again, pick up another starting pitcher, because I think definitely one additional starting pitcher is needed to join Stroman, Hendricks, and then we have some other guys, Justin Steele, Alec Mills? Can't remember if he was a free agent or not. Let's see, Alzolay. We've got Braylon Marquez. So yeah, we'll see. Who knows when we can start talking free agents again. Dan says, when will you next have expectations for the Cubs? Expectations as winning. if that's what you mean, expectations for like contending in the National League. I'm not too based on the roster structure at this point, and again, it's super early, and we don't know what's going to happen with the CBA. But based on the current roster structure, I'm not too confident with this team. That was another. That's another point in this year in the agreement. I think they want to expand the playoffs, which I'm not. I hate the one game playoff. I think it should be a 3-game series. I think if they expand the playoffs, it should be the current structure, but just expand it out instead of a 1-game playoff, have it a 3-game series, or make it all standard 5, 5, and 7 or whatever. Um, but yeah, they had I think 2 more teams per league in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm with the current roster structure. I'm not optimistic with the Cubs having. I think they can contend for a playoff for a wild card, but I'm not that they can make any type of playoff run. That's that's not optimistic. That's just me being a realist. I think all the Twins did was sign Buxton. I thought the Twins signed. The Twins made a couple moves. Let me Google it. The Twins signed somebody before Buxton. Twins free agent signings. They who did they sign? Who did they sign? Let's look up Minnesota Twins transactions. Twins signed somebody. I can't remember who it was. Dylan Bundy, starting pitcher Dylan Bundy. That was so who that yeah that was about it. Buxton and Bundy. My computer froze. Oh, they released Astudillo. He got in some trouble, I think. Oh, there was like a fight in Venezuela in the Venezuelan league, and that's why Astudillo was released. So I opened a window, my computer froze. I don't know if I'm still going because I don't have my YouTube windows not opening. So just wanted to talk about the lockout. Going to be doing a lot of shipping today. Maybe try to get 100. I want to my like minimum for listings per day. If my day is like focused on shipping, I still want to get 100 listings out. Hey, I'm back on YouTube. Okay. You're still alive. JC is with us. Good morning. I'm going to go back to the chat because I missed some. Did everyone else have Bo Freeze up on his prediction? Mama, we know how they got Javi Bias to the Tigers is sin. Missed my Project 70 Jameson Gold card. That's a bummer, Herman. I missed a few. I'm like out of the Project 70. I was collecting. I knew it was there, and I just right away, and then forgot about it. And then there was a Dizzy Dean that I didn't even know it was a Cubs card. And then there was another one that just came out that I just passed on. So I'm just kind of, it's like, yeah. So let's see. Doesn't count pitching. Don't know, Jenny. They're printed by Topps only for the people that bought a full artist run online. Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. I think I'm freezing up. At least I am on my screen. So have a great Thursday. I will be back live tomorrow, being Friday, 7 a.m. Central. Let's see. This weekend shows will be. I'll have a show on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. And my weekend times vary, probably between 8 and 9 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Have a great Thursday. I'm frozen. I'm back. I'm back. Okay, so I'm gonna have to run. I'll get to Dan's question. Have you bought any Cubs signed baseballs? No, I haven't bought any signed base. I actually haven't bought like any Cubs cards for my collection outside of like what I've acquired in either collections I've picked up or out of like quarter boxes. Like I haven't, I think probably the tobacco cards I bought at the Oak Creek show last month, I think were the last. Now, I do plan on probably I always get like an eBay gift card in my stocking for Christmas. So probably after Christmas, I'll go shopping on eBay. I've got some through Fetch Rewards. I've got some gift cards from eBay through that. So I'll probably just pile them all together and buy. I think I'm going to add to my Joe Tinker PC and I watch. And then there's a dealer from the Oak Creek Card Show, and I'm hoping he sets up at my show in January. He's got a lot of Cubs tobacco cards, so I'll probably make a big purchase from him at the end of January. But outside of that, I haven't like bought anything. And really with Cubs baseballs, I don't even remember the last Cubs baseball I bought signed baseball because now I've just been getting them spring training. I think I got 40 baseballs signed at spring training. And then Club 400 events. So that's in the minor league baseball, the South Bend Cubs. I think added 10 maybe minor league signed baseballs. So I've added several to my collection, but I haven't bought any, and I haven't really bought. It's kind of not really my focus. It's just kind of that PC is just kind of it's more of a in-person type deal now. I was buying a lot the project start before my 1 million Cubs project started. That was kind of my main PC was Cubs signed baseball, so I would buy a lot. And now it's if I go to a card show like the Chicago Spectacular, sometimes there's like deals on cheap signed baseballs. I thought you adored that PC. No, not really. It's my. I mean, of course I adore it as a collector, but it's my Cubs baseball card collection is number one. The signed baseballs is just kind of a side PC. But if I'm going to spring training, if I'm going to minor league games, then it's definitely top of mind, and that's what I'm looking to get signed. So I haven't even counted my collection. It's probably around 500 signed baseballs. I have 260 240 or 260 on the wall, and then I just have tubs and I need like hundreds of ball cubes. So it's that's kind of now that I'm full-time selling cards, it's kind of like I've got to keep those expenses down and can't be spending hundreds of dollars on ball cubes. Signed baseballs are Bo's new side hustle. Absolutely. There is no money in signed baseballs. There's money in autographs, but it's definitely not a path I want to take. What kind of ball cubes do you use? I don't even know. The cheapest ones I can find. I try to get them with the UV plastic, just because balls could fade. But I typically just buy, a lot of them are cheap, are cheap, and it's a PC. Like it's not. I probably don't take as good of care as I should, with the UV cubes and all that. But it's just kind of it's fun. It's a collection. So that's how it is. So that's what I had for today. I'm going to sign off before I freeze up again. Have a great Thursday, and we'll be back on tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.